Yeah, yeah. There's plenty of wholesalers here on Clubhouse as well as Craigslist and Facebook that are looking for people to help them in any way that you can bring value. So if you're willing to put in like sweat equity, a lot of people are willing to train as long as you're able to bring some sort of value or help them out sometimes. So instead of spending 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on a like a real estate coaching program, it would be better to get the live hands-on action and just put that sweat equity in with them and eventually be able to do deals. Or maybe they'll give you a kickback on a wholesale deal. Say they make 5 grand, maybe they'll give you $500 or $1,000, as like an incentive to continue to work with them. I know that we've helped several people in our area just get involved in wholesaling and just giving them the free education. um, and what they do is puts a sweat equity in. So there's a lot of different techniques that you can do. I would just try to connect with more people. Go to local meetups. I know things are starting to open up again, so meetups, REI events, anything real estate related that you can go to and connect with people and grow your network. That's really going to be the best strategy to get involved in this, and the cheapest, easiest way to do it. Yeah, we do a lot of remote investing that way. We actually buy, fix, and sell out of state as well without seeing properties. Yeah, bigger pockets is good. There's so many like free resources. I think that's what, we're all kind of getting at is don't s- you know don't go out and blow 20 grand on some coaching program. Like try to get as much free information as you can first, and see what value you can bring to another investor. So you're not having to start a business and become a business owner right away. You're actually able to, learn all of these things and decide if you want to go into business or if you want to work for somebody. So you're not, you're not the person who's having to run the whole company. So, being a business owner isn't for everybody. Flipping houses isn't like it is on HGTV. It's a hard process, and you're running a business, and you're doing more than just flipping the houses. There's the entire business side of it, running the books, and making sure you're registered correctly, having the right team in place, attorneys, agents, um, contractors. It's a whole different thing than what you actually see on TV. So uh,
right? So like, because we're going to take it, we're going to flip it, right? So you have to know, a lot of problems that I have with wholesalers comes from, they don't know how to do a rehab estimate, right? Because they're green, so they don't know how to do that estimate. So there's another gentleman here on Clubhouse, a really good friend of ours is, God, what's his name? Jeremy, our buddy that's late night, Latino, Texas. Shit. Estrella.
Louis, yeah.
Yeah, Louis Estrella. He's awesome, and he's a huge wholesaler, and he just gives out that shit for free right on Clubhouse. And Louis like Estrella, yeah, Estrella. Louis, I believe, is his first name. He's wearing a baseball cap generally, Latino gentleman, and so he does rooms he used to do them pretty frequently. But my point is that, yeah, with Jeremy's point and Jesse's point, there's a lot of clubhouse rooms on wholesaling. Our friend Haley Howard does one. Rebecca's last name, I got to look this up for you. But there's so many people, Matt. If you just type in wholesaling, you'll at the search button, you'll start getting those, and look at those clubs and then start following those clubs. And so you'll learn pretty quick. The only other thing that I would say is there is a little bit of a misnomer where people are saying that wholesaling is like you can do it for free. You can do it for free, right? Like you can get into it for free, but like understand that means drive for dollars. Well, you got to put gas in the tank, right? Those bandit signs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so for you, because I know what you were saying earlier today, house hacking isn't a bad idea. If you had the money to do it, you should do it because as long as there's appreciation there, right? You're going to get appreciation, and you can use that collateral to fund other things again. And you're starting, right? And you're paying off the mortgage and things like that. So just like at your phase, Nicholas, the most important thing to do is to figure out what you want to do, right? You know what I mean? So wholesaling and house hacking are two beautiful ways to start, right? Like, so that's what if and Jesse dropped a bomb, like when he said bigger pockets. That is an invaluable resource for any real estate investor. Bigger pockets. Okay.
Yeah,
it's thank you so much. Yeah, bigger pockets is great. I mean, there's it's like, there's forums, people ask questions, there's ton of info. So almost any question you could think of, I'm sure there's probably somebody who's probably dropped some knowledge somewhere on bigger pockets. So that's always a great place to start. Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to help, man.
Eric, I think I know he just popped on stage. I think Eric was. I was briefly in Sean. I Keep It Real's room. Sean Ackerman. I think he just promoting a book that he wrote about wholesaling.
think Eric has
yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly think you should read that. I mean, I know Nicholas was in there as well, and Rebecca Ramiro is who you were talking about earlier. Vishnu, how do you say your name? I apologize.
It's okay. It's Vishnu, and I think Tara also had a question. Hey, Eric. No, yeah, it's Vishnu. You said it right, Vishnu.
Okay, yeah. Well, that book. So what everyone's saying, Bigger Pockets is definitely amazing. So what that book does is kind of, instead of you searching, it's kind of everything's there. But I always suggest do research first before you purchase anything, because there's going to be 100 gurus, and I've wasted tons of money just buying stuff, this and that, trying to get from point A to point C and skipping B. You really do want to understand everything. So these three guys up top, I actually follow all of them. You might want to follow them too. And you can always go, you see what rooms they go into, which is awesome. The best thing about Clubhouse. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely follow them. I also followed you too, Eric. So I will definitely be looking at all of y'all's links for information.
Eric, what markets are you in? Tara, I know that you looks like you're new to Clubhouse. Welcome to the Get Crazy Leads room.
Thank you.
Are you a real estate investor? Are you aspiring to be?
Yes, so I'm definitely, it's something I've been interested in for a long time. It's something that I'd like to eventually get into the actual, purchase, fix, and flip. But, I kind of do understand that to get to that point, you want to have a little bit of capital. And also personally, like, I'm fairly young. So for me, also making sure that I can take that step, into my dream, into that as a career, but also being able to pay my bills and things like that. So I've done quite a bit of research in it. Where I'm having the biggest holdup is right now is that, I think there's kind of that gap between you get all the information and you're looking at, all the people that you can connect with and learning. And then there's actually, the roadmap to your first deal. And I think there's a lot that goes on in between that that can be very difficult. And I do have a mentor that I've been working with, but, exactly kind of what you said with Nicholas is, you don't have to dump a lot of money into a mentor. But I will say that I wish I had done more research prior to jumping on board with, because I have multiple mentors, but that's just because what you get from one, you might not get from another, and each person has their own strong suit, but they also have their own availability. And I think that's finding somebody that's compatible with you is incredibly important. But that's really kind of where I've just kind of hit a hiccup in all of it is really getting the comps down, taking a lead that you found, converting it into a deal, getting the all the logistical stuff there to be able to move forward. I do follow Max Maxwell. I do think that, he's really helpful in kind of seeing the whole process come to light. But, I've just kind of struggled a little bit in the in-between steps, getting from one point to the next.
When you say in-between steps, go a little granular on that.
Yeah, so, I have found houses. I did the driving for dollars. It's something that I've done, on Sundays. I'll go around, find houses that I think are really good prospects. And some are even for sale by owner that I have found or found online. The problem that I'm having is that, one, getting accurate comps, can be difficult. I do know I have heard that you need to work with a real estate agent to get the most accurate comps from the MLS. I do have a real estate agent that I am able to work with, but I'm going to be honest, a lot of what I'm able to get from him is not nearly as detailed as what I've learned a lot of other people are getting. I think he's just running, very baseline comps for me. And so the numbers that I'm getting from him and the numbers that I'm getting from Zillow and Redfin and PropStream are all very, very different.
Yeah, Sarah, I was going to say, are you actually paying for PropStream right now, or?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say I always ask a real estate agent's opinion and get their feel for what they say. But I would always run your own comps, and then the comps inside PropStream are great, but what you can do, and I'm speaking from experience, I actually work with PropStream, so I'm just kind of letting you know, we've trained a lot of people on, we work with improving the tool. What's great is we give you a value that says, estimated value. That's not the ARV. That's just the estimated value based on, computer logic. Then what you can do is when you click onto the comps section of that property, you can choose your own comps. So what you'll do, and if you actually go to our website, we actually are live streaming video of PropStream right now for you. So if you go to getcrazyleads.com from your phone or desktop, you can actually see Jesse's on PropStream, so you can have a visual of what we're actually talking about. But you choose your own comps, and then what that does is it kind of readjusts the numbers that give you an idea of where the value falls in. So you kind of choose your own comps also based on. So that's the best tool I would recommend leveraging, because it does have access to the MLS, and then you also see the public record info as well too.
So kind of going off of that too. So I have done that where you go in and you adjust it. And I've even tried to, compare what I'm getting between that, the MLS, Zillow, and Redfin to try to get like the most accurate, because honestly, your offer is only as good as your research. So I try to be, before I make an offer on any of these, I wanted to make sure that I really went into it. But one of the biggest things I'm having trouble with too is that, some of the comps that I'm running, like, what do you prioritize when you run comps? Is it age of the home relative to the other, properties? Is it square footage, bedrooms?
That's a great question. That's a great question. The answer is pretty much all of it. So you're trying to find the comps that are going to be the most similar to the subject property, right? So obviously, if you're comping a house that's built in the 1950s, you do not want to be comping that with a property that was built in 2000, right? You just know that's completely different year build. There's going to be a lot more issues, and there's the houses that were built in 1950 are going to be completely different than the ones that were built in 2000. So if you do take a look at that info, if you have a small, if you don't have much data to base your info off of, you can use your own logic, and say, okay, well, obviously, you can hook up the house from 1950 all the way to the very top of, best condition you could build it to. But is that going to be superior to a house that was built in 2000? Maybe not, just depending on, what you're dealing with. So I always like to try to look at comps that are, if possible, 3 months back. If you don't have enough data when you're looking at that, then go 6 months, and try not to go further than a year back in time. So try to make sure that the sale date range that you're looking at is within a year. And then you're going to want to look at the square footage. Try to be within 20% square footage of the subject property you're looking at. But also, just as important as that is, you want to make sure that you have similar bath and bedroom count, right? So, a house that has 3 bedroom, 1 bath, it's going to sell for, generally less than a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Having that extra bathroom is a huge selling point for a lot of people. So, similar square footage, that also kind of ties into, similar bedroom and bathroom count. Like if you're planning on, adding a bathroom, you're going to want to look at comps that have 3 bedroom, 2 bath, because that's what you're projecting your ARV to be at. So, 1 year back in date range and time from the fire sale, 20% generally same square footage. Try to have it built, year built is going to be around the same.
Yeah, it's usually within like 10 years of when your house is built. So,
Okay.
so if you're like right now, I'm live streaming. I'm just evaluating a house, random house in Ohio, and just pulling the comps. I don't know if you're on the live stream or not, but you can just see there's certain parts of this that like there's some for the house specifically I picked. It was built in 2005, and now there's like newer ones that were built in 2017. They're probably not a comp, considering there's a bunch of, I think there's like 20 other properties that were built around that same point, between 2000 and 2008. So those things like that are super important for us to evaluate deals, because you don't want to be picking something that's, 15, 20, 30 years newer than the property you're comping, because it's not going to sell the same as that other house.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, because that's been exactly where I haven't been able to convert is, I have the leads, I have them actively in the pipeline, but they're ready for an offer and I'm not prepared to make the offer just because I have not been able to accurately get a good comp.
Yeah, so let me help you out here, because I think one of the things, let's go back a second, because we all have like a kind of like, these guys use PropStream. I use things so for when I evaluate a deal, what I'm actually essentially trying to do, because there's a quote, right? You need to move, right? In this kind of a market, you don't have time you might not have time for a lot of deep analysis, right? So so two things. Let me ask you one real quick question. How are you is this for you, or is this for someone you're working with when you're going to fix and flip?
No, so for me personally, like right now, my main focus is wholesaling with the intention that like long term, I want to do the fix and flip, but I want to use the wholesaling to build one, awareness in the market, and two, capital to be able to then go in and invest into the fix and flips as needed.
Got it. So see, the reason why I asked that is because it's good. Like, so if you were doing it yourself, it would depend on your financing. Meaning, like, if you have so if you were going hard money, or your buy list, right? If are they cash or are they hard money? There might be both. It depends on who they are, right? How long your buy list is or how big it is. So what I'm getting at is, so for me, it becomes really simple. I use hard money, and then I use a mix of hard money and private for my own projects. So I know if I'm using hard money, then I have to come under 70% ARV, right? So what I'm getting at is, like, I always start at the end, right? Because we're gonna fix and flip this thing, right? Or your buyer is going to do that, correct? So what they're gonna look at is what are they gonna look at no matter what? It's the ARV. So start there, right? And so that's where you're gonna look at your comps. So what I do is, like, to Jeremy and Jesse's point, we really need to look at apples to apples, not apples to grapefruit. And I know that's a stupid analogy, but what I think the point is that a lot of times, and Jeremy and we all have our own. I'm just giving you my methodology, right? So my methodology is right off the bat, because I know that most things that come across my way aren't a deal, right? So I don't want to spend a lot of time looking at things that aren't a deal. So what I do is I go on Zillow before I even get into any like hardcore real estate programs. I look on Zillow, I click on the map, and I hit lot lines, right? Okay, so that just gives me a real quick, like, so say that the ARVs are $300,000, and the property I'm looking at, that math doesn't work right off the bat. Like, you know what I mean? If they're asking too much, I know that this isn't going to work unless it's a cosmetic flip, right? So so right there, I'm just like, okay, I'm throwing this away. You know what I mean? And so I start because it just gives me a really quick way to eliminate something immediately. Now, if it doesn't pass that first muster, right, then I start diving deeper. That's what I do, right? I only spend time on things that are worth spending my time on, right? So, like, what I'm getting at is that Zillow map and lot lines has been a real big time saver for me, right? Again, Jesse's going to have a different way. Everyone's going to have a different way. That's just something that I've learned to do to just make it very quick. Here's another thing that I do. I don't actually, depending on, like, I'm active in high dense areas, right? So I'm not looking like, I don't see any reason to look. Honestly, I tell all my people, you're not looking more than a half a mile. You're starting at a half a mile. Yeah. Right? And then you're going outward if you need to. But I would say if you have to start, like, stretching things, that's a bad thing. Like, then you're trying to make the deal fit what you want as opposed to if it's a deal. So one of the things Vishnu was saying, not to cut you off, Vishnu, but that is a really good point, is you're gonna want to have a quick calculation, just roughly, to throw a ballpark number out at the seller without, like, literally, you don't have to do an in-depth. I've seen this happen so many times. People are like, why am I not getting enough deals? Then what they do is they comp a property so detailed, and then it's like, no, what you should be doing is you should throw a number out there that's, relatively within reason. Let's know the square footage, run your comps as best as you can.
throw a number out there. And then if it sounds like you're within the ballpark, then you're going to be doing, generally inspections or some more due diligence or a deeper analysis to get your number tightened up. It's almost, I'm almost never bought in a property where I give them this number right up front, and then that's where we end up closing. There's always some readjustment of somewhat or another, whether it's big or small, that ends up changing when we tighten everything up. So I don't know, you don't want to be analysis paralysis where you're not putting offers in because you feel like you're not nailing your ARV and stuff. It's better just to put the AR, your analysis or your offer out on paper, and then if you see that some other cash buyer bought it, you'll have that data inside PropStream or something like that to reflect on and see, right? Yeah. So, and you can save your ARV in there too, right? So you can save your ARV, and if it resells for more, you can just be like, wow, that property sold for $10,000 more, or you can see where you're at. But the other thing I think Vishnu brought up briefly that's important is the person's personal situation and the reason why they're selling the property, property situation, are different too. So when you see the property that's for sale on a desktop, or whether your agent brings it to you, knowing that homeowner's motivation, why the terms that you offer can be almost as valuable as the money you offer too, right? There's terms that you can use that you can't necessarily reflect on as a number, but you can just be very clear, like, hey, buyer will pay for moving fees and month storage if I can close fast or something like that. And then, that help of moving somebody's stuff and getting it into storage for a little bit, even if it's for 2 months, that can be super worth it for an older seller or something like that too. So don't get caught so much up in the numbers, but kind of know the situation. Like Vision is saying, he's got his quick way. Jesse and I might have ours, but you kind of want to be like Vision is saying, know where to start from finish. Right? Sorry to start with Vision, but those good points about it.
No, definitely. And while Jeremy was talking, we're always learning. So me and Jeremy talk about, this is for Nicholas too. There's a Chris Prefontaine. You guys should probably write that name down. He's a smart real estate coach. And then his son-in-law, Zachary Beach, because those guys teach creative financing, right? So it's seller financing, but it's on steroids. So there's a bunch of people on Clubhouse that they don't actually, they buy everything on terms, right? So I would encourage you guys, like what I'm getting at is I really wish that, and me and Jeremy talk about this.
You just click on free resources on either Jesse or my link tree. You can get them for free there.
That's awesome. I definitely will do that now. Thank you.
That's literally what we do. Like that, we literally go down that checklist. And you'll get faster at it, and you can edit that checklist too, so you can make it your own. But if you follow those steps, there's like some really basic stuff in there that if you've never purchased a property, sometimes you just realize you're like, oh, we need to check into this or that when you're looking at HOAs and other stuff like that too. So it's just a good reminder to have for stuff to look at. But that's
and actually, Nicholas and Tara, we're talking about all these other people. The reality is, yeah, definitely, and you're already following me, but like, you should follow Jeremy and Jesse because what we've been doing in the background is we're essentially between the Asian Real Estate Club, which is turning out to be the dumbest name in the history of clubhouse names, but it's not just for Asians, and it's actually not even just about real estate. but
you say that every time I hear you. It's so funny.
I did it. The reason why I did it is because I was actually targeting a group of investors, right? But really, what Jesse and Jeremy and I are doing is we're just really we're actually, like, I hear you guys, right? And we know, like, a lot of times, like, real estate, when you're getting into it, or even just, like, starting, or, like, Tara, you already start. Is it Tara or Tara? I'm sorry.
It's Tara.
Tara. So the thing is like, we know how overwhelming it is, and what we're doing, like, in between, Get Crazy Leads and the Asian Real Estate Club, is that we're teaching people literally step by step, right? So, and eventually we're going to be recording that, which we should already be doing, guys, by the way, right? So it's there for everyone. So we're taking like these, you know what I mean? Like Jeremy and like we all are in the business, but we do a multitude of things, and it just makes sense to kind of walk people and hold their hand. But so that's what we're doing. So there's a bunch of great people, but I think sometimes what it is like you said, it's like it's not in like linear order, right? So it can get really overwhelming, and then I get it, So and even like this room will eventually be a lot bigger. This is kind of it was actually scheduled as a mistake, but I'll tell you another thing. I met Jeremy and then eventually met Jesse in these kinds of rooms, in these small rooms where we're really allowed, we're allowed to just kind of network and talk to each other and really bring up a lot of, more than anything, networking, right? In the bigger rooms, what ends up happening is you're just like, it's more like, listen, you can ask a question, you're learning from other people and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of, and which is great, right? But these smaller rooms are where you're going to get really strong connections. I met these guys on Clubhouse, and now we meet every week. You know what I mean? So it's really cool. So yeah,
I have to completely agree with Vishnu. I actually met him in a small group like this, and the reason I followed him, he said a couple words that I really wanted to hear. Switch the way your mindset is, and he uses specifically hard money lending. And to me, that really scares the shit out of me. But he's saying, and I'm still wanting to learn about it, by the way, is how to do that. And by the way, I just pinged in Jay Krupp. He's very new, but this is exactly what he wants to do. So I kind of want him to listen in because you guys are getting golden nuggets right here from start to finish how to do things.
Thank you. That's one of the great things about just having rooms is just connecting with other people. And at the end of the day, it's really hard to network with the pandemic as much as you may have used to. So using these platforms has been great for all of us just to, like Vision was saying, it's almost like a mastermind all the time, but then you end up starting, projects with the people that you connect with. And you're right. The big rooms are great to learn. And that's the cool thing about Clubhouse too, is there's times when you just want to tune in, like you're listening to a podcast, and then you just jump in and you can catch a ton of really cool people. Like there's a room that this dude Cameron does that I really like. That's like cold calling. It's live cold calling. So he just literally sits on Clubhouse and literally runs through like 30 or 50 phone calls and trying to do acquisitions. And then it's like, dude, I'm sitting here listening to this guy do this. Why can I make the time to just do it for myself too? And that's one of the reasons why we started trying to restream what we show on the screen. So like what we're doing with Clubhouse is if you just want to jump in and tune in and ask questions, you can. And then if you want, you can even go back and then watch what we were doing on the screen or look at it too. but it's
When you hit the screen, what are you saying?
we're live streaming. Like if we talk about a property or if you had a deal that we wanted to say look at together, what we could do is we could pull it up on our screen and show you how we would analyze the deal, right? And we kind of just go through. We would literally like do an example with Tara. Like we'd say, hey, okay, look, this is one of the properties that we have right now in our pipeline, and then we would show her how we comp say that property. Or if Vishnu wanted to, he could join his screen, and then he could share his screen on how he maybe analyzed it using Zillow, right? His process and workflow. So it'd be kind of cool. So you could go back to our website, or you could be on our website and see what we're talking about inside Clubhouse. So you can actually see it on the screen.
Yeah, so we're live streaming everything right now. So we have if you go to getcrazyleads.com, you can actually see my screen. I'm running like a deal analysis on PropStream, but it's also streaming live, I believe, on like our Facebook and is it LinkedIn, Jer, or YouTube, or one of them?
It's YouTube.
Okay,
YouTube.
yeah, streaming all over the place. But yeah, we're just trying to give away, a bunch of free information and help people out. So.
Yeah, which is like a lot of people aren't doing, right? So what Jesse and Jeremy are like, we're gonna be, whether it's in Get Crazy Leads or Asian Real Estate Club, or it probably will be in Get Crazy Leads. But the point is that we're really gonna be right. You'll be in Clubhouse, you can be in the live stream, and they're gonna teach you. We all are gonna teach you how to actually do it, or at least how we do it, right? Yeah. So it's really cool because you'll have that visual. Leo Aguirre was the name. Luis Estrella is a different gentleman who's awesome too. But Leo Aguirre is the wholesaler, like Jeremy and our friend.
Like I met him through Clubhouse too. We jumped on a Zoom, and he shared a whole bunch of. It was just very interesting because even the strategies. That's what's great. Like the ways that some people buy property are so much different than the way I learned. That's why almost every deal you do, you almost always want to get somebody's confirmation that you're looking at the same analysis that you have like an acquisitions team member that you're bouncing info at, so you can talk about it, whether that's your agent or another investor or somebody that you can trust or train. But every real estate transaction is different. That's why it's always nice to kind of like review it with somebody.
And I'll just I'll say this for Nicholas Dara and for everybody. You guys are seem like you're kind of starting out here or started a little bit, but I'll tell you one of the ways that I got back into real estate, because I was broke as a joke, right? Is I leveraged my business credit cards. Okay, so by the way, that's like the preview for the Wednesday Asian Real Estate Club, like the guy that the company that we use that we're going to use now. To do that. So the point is a lot of times, right? Here's why I'm bringing that up. A lot of times we don't have money to start. Okay, well, you can leverage your credit, right? If you have a decent personal credit score, right? Roughly around 720. It could be a little bit lower, but we want it to be around 720. What ends up happening is you can go and get business credit cards. Okay, so they don't report on your personal credit score, right? So for those guys, for you guys that weren't in the last one, we had an expert named Merrill Chandler. By the way, there's another room that you should be on, right? Merrill, spelled Merril, right? I think there might be two L's. Chandler is his last name, and so he does a room on Mondays. And he teaches people how to optimize their personal credit, right? So that you can go and get all sorts of business credit, so that's what he teaches. He drops those bombs on Mondays. I think it's at 5 p.m., something like that. But
I put it in my calendar, actually. Let me double check. Because I listened to him talking. He was like, even when his assistant stayed in the room after he spoke, they with it. It's Mondays, I think.
I think I actually watched that
at 4 Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, my bad. What was that?
But also kind of going off of what you're saying. So I know you mentioned that you can do it personally. Now I have an LLC. So that was actually something I was even researching last night, was getting a business credit card to kind of establish not only the credit there, but also being able to leverage that. That being said, do you recommend like a specific branch? Like, when I looked at it, really the two main were American Express and Chase. And they were recommended by a lot of people for business credit lines, but each of them came with very different benefits, annual fees, APRs, things like that. So is there anything that you personally recommend to kind of look at or prioritize, or do you base that off of what the end goal is, whether it's like a fix and flip or wholesale kind of operation?
Okay, so my business credit card, so I didn't get my business credit card. So I think that's one of the issues, is that people try to go and get their own business credit card. So just like, and I'm not being mean to you, right? This happens all the time with even people who are that have been in business for a long time. So like the analogy is, I hire experts to go and get me the business credit cards. And the reason being is if you go and do it on your own, you're going to get like one or two, like you're talking about, and the balances are going to be low, right? So like when the first company that I used to go get the business credit cards, right? So they're the experts, right? So just like I don't mess with plumbing, you know what I mean? So by the time they were done with me, and that company did things in tranches. So every couple of months, they would either get me more business credit cards, or they would raise our balances, or a combination of both. So I had 100,000, right? So 103,000, right? So my business credit cards, like, so you can go and get it your own, but what are you going to get? Because so they have the relationships, they know how to talk to them, they know how to see. Here's one thing that they do that a lot of people don't realize, is that when you put in your estimated salary, it's by law, you can put in a projected salary, right? So what all of us do is we just put in our actual salaries, right? Well, you know what I mean? So like they know how to optimize getting those balances very, very high. Okay. And so I would to answer your question, I wouldn't recommend doing what you're about to do, right? What I recommend doing is hiring the professionals to do it, so that you have a nice big chunk of change. So then you can go and do a fix and flip, or start your wholesaling business with some money behind you, right? Things like that. Okay, and why I'm saying that is because that's exactly what I did, right? Okay, so that's exactly what I did. And I got into my first I came back to real estate to do my first fix and flip with my partners, and all the money that I put into that fix and flip, we always hear about OPM, other people's money, right? Well, what about Visa? Forget about other people's money altogether. It's Visa paid for mine, American Express paid for mine, right? So like MasterCard paid for how I got in. I'm about to go to Whole Foods right now. That's going to go on everything I do is put onto my, to buy food. I put it on my business credit, because what it does is, because business credit cards don't report on your personal, right? So what it also does is it helps improve your personal credit profile, so then you can continue leveraging it even further, right? Because as you grow a business, you're going to need money. Now, there's other, like these guys, my friends Jeremy and Jesse, they didn't do it that way. They did it a different way. They raised capital, right? So from private investors. But the point is, you need money, right? So to me, like this is the easiest thing for me to get going quickly, right? And so that's why I feel so strongly about it. But the thing is, it's a credit card. It's a loan. You have to repay it like anything else. And there's an interest payment that you're going to be using, even though there's 0%. By the way, I'm sorry, Tara. That's the other part about it. There's 0%. Their introductory rates for the roughly between 9 to 12 months. Some go to 15 months, right? So it's 0% APR. That's the other beautiful thing about it, right? You still have an interest payment that you're going to be, right, that you have to pay for. But outside of that, for that first year, as long as, you know what I mean, you have to be able to make money, is what I'm saying, right, and be able to pay it back. But if you can do those things, it's a great way to get money into your pocket right away. And that's why I'm going to be talking about it as, basically first steps.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very, very helpful. Especially, I mean, this is all, I think, fantastic information. And I'm very glad that I sat in on this, because this is not something that I've gotten out of any of the other meetings I've been in.
Well, that's the other thing I would say about that, is that even if you don't have the right credit score, like, so we have people that do credit repair, right? So that you can get the right credit score to get those things done. Sorry, guys, I'm all up. My call again.
No, not at all. I was going to say that in what Vishnu was saying, and Vishnu, weren't you listening to his podcast, and then you got to come on to Clubhouse? He's the guy who was funding secrets in the Killing Credit Myths, right? That's Merrill's room. That dude was full of knowledge, and he kind of shared a lot of info like that. And then some of the stuff that Jesse wrote it's a raising private money manual, right, Jesse? Raising private money. He wrote like a whole like kind of a manual on that, for kind of the process that we took. So that's something that's pretty cool too. But I would definitely follow Merrill.
Yeah, there's two ways. You can fund it with business credit, or like Vishnu had mentioned, raising private money. That was the route that we initially took. We were able to raise a few $1 million and consistently roll that into each project. Our lenders continue to work with us year after year because we make them high quality returns. So what I did, we put together a raising private money manual. That was one of the links that's in our link tree. Another free guide on how to raise private money for your real estate deals. But like we're saying, there's just so many avenues that you can take. You can raise private money, you can use hard money, you can use business credit, you can get corporate credit lines. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but the bottom line is you do need a little bit of money to get started. If you're wholesaling, you don't need as much, but you still need to pay for things like your car payment and gas, and all of the if you're doing direct mail and whatever marketing you're doing, you do have to have some money. So it's good to, like Tara, you already started your LLC, so you can start writing these things off as business expenses, and start gaining those tax benefits from doing that. So.
Yeah, the other thing, like, I would say about raising the capital. Sorry, Eric, I have definitely beat my car.
No, go ahead.
So the advantage of so the route that I took compared to what these guys took, right, is like they don't have to, because they raise so much money, they just do whatever they want, right? So what I'm getting at is, like, I have to go by the loan. I have to put on an appraiser hat, right? And then I have to so I have to drop. Literally, I artificially drop the ARV. So because I know that with my hard money loan, there's an appraiser attached to that, correct? So like these knuckleheads, and I'm sorry if there's an appraiser in here, I didn't mean it like that, but my it's been really, okay, let me rephrase that because I don't want to offend anyone. But I've never been wrong. Not one time, right? So it's like, so when they give me an ARV, and I learned to actually drop my ARV and put on an appraiser hat, because that's what I need to do in order to secure the loan. But what I'm saying is, I know what the ARV is. I do it every day, right? It's like, and there hasn't been one time I've been wrong. So it's annoying, right? So I have to now, and then the loan process, and it's in the closing date. So when you have cash like from private investors like Jesse and Jeremy do, they don't have to deal with any of the headaches I have to deal with, right? So they can close immediately, where I have to deal with an appraiser, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, everything that goes with loans, right? So I and I'm learning from them, by the way. I'm learning how to raise private money from them. So we all learn from each other. My way isn't the best, might not be the best way. It was what I did at the time, but I do feel like, you're always learning and improving. And definitely go on Jesse's links and get that script, Jesse, would you say that the way that you were able, wasn't it LinkedIn, I think, is what you told me?
Yeah, I mainly use LinkedIn to raise private money. Friends and family, especially when you're starting out, a lot of people are like, why would I give you money? They look at it as giving you money. As soon as you change that, you shift that mindset, and you shift the way you word things to an investment opportunity rather than like asking people for money, everything changes. But like Vishnu said, I did mostly on LinkedIn.
Remember that you're making them money.
Exactly.
Giving you money when you lend me. That's how it works. So there's especially if you do a good job of raising private capital. Amy Majori, actually, I don't know how she's a really good investor for raising private money. But there's a lot of good lessons to you know, when I saw her speak about that, and Jesse just said it, but you know, it's like she took the approach of, you're not lending money to me, I'm paying you. This is an investment. Like, you're making 3% with your Roth IRA, or you can direct those funds into my business, and I'll make you 12% return. So when you could get certain people to understand that perspective, it was really powerful when she had explained that.
Yeah, a lot of the time you're going to spend a lot of time raising private money. You're going to spend educating people on how money works and how the bank works. You know, you have $100,000 in your savings account, and you make what, $3 of interest a month or less than that. Like it's kind of a joke, right? You know, if you had $100,000 and you put it into a real estate deal and you lent it to someone between 8 and 12%, you know, you're going to make $1,200 or $12,000 a year rather than making you know, $30 a year or whatever the bank pays you. So a lot of the time it's just educating people on that, and the bank's using your money to make more money. Why not you use your money to make more money and, you know, be able to double your money in 5 years or less? That's kind of the best, you know, option. That's how we look at it. That's how I kind of explain it to people. At a 12% return, you know, you're able to double your money in 5 to 6 years. So if you do that, you know, you start when you're younger, and you can just do that over and over, and then you discover ways to get 20 and 30 and 40% returns on your money and your investments by doing it yourself. You know, it's kind of the best avenue. So it's all a matter of educating people on how to use their capital, and you know, what the best way is, and showing them different opportunities. A little shortcut around that is I went on LinkedIn when I started raising private money, and I looked for anyone who had a real estate investor in their title, and I just sent them a direct message to try to have a conversation and see, you know, what their experience level was, and if they were interested in investing more passively. Because a lot of real estate investors can only do so many deals at once, and if there's extra cash laying around, and you know, they trust you and you can build a good relationship with them, or do some sort of joint venture opportunity where they're going to make money without having to do much of the legwork, and that's the side that you're doing, you know, it's a win-win for everybody. So that you can JV with other investors who are, you know, they may have the capital and you don't have the capital, or whatever it is. You know, you can come up with win-win situations for everybody, whether that's just paying them a simple return, or if that's you know, splitting profits on a joint venture agreement, or if, you know, you're trying to do something larger like a commercial syndication and get them involved as a limited partner in a deal. There's 100 different avenues that you could take, and it all kind of depends on what way you're heading within the real estate investment space.
And there's some new people in here. Could you tell them what JV means?
Yeah, JV is joint venturing. So that would be where your entity and their entity partner on a deal, and, you know, they bring in the money, and you're doing, you know, if it's a fix and flip, you're doing the actual fix and flip, and they're your lender, they're funding the deal. And then at the end of it, you either split profits, or maybe you paid them a preferred return of like 8% and then a profit share. I mean, we've done things so many different ways. I did a deal a couple of years ago. We paid him a 6% preferred return because that's what he was making in his fund that the money was invested in. So we matched the 6% preferred return, and then we did a 60-40 split. I got 60 of the profit, he got 40%, and the deal worked out. You know, we both made about 30 grand, and we were happy. So, you know, continuing doing deals like that with different investors and venturing with people, it just spreads out. It spreads out the risk a little bit, and it kind of takes a little pressure off of, you know, one person doing everything themselves. So,
would you guys say that you would have to have experience to go and raise capital? Won't they want to see a track record?
Not necessarily. I mean, I raised the first like 750,000 I raised was with a limited track record. I had done tax lien investing for several years first, and that was really our, you know, investment strategy. We would just buy tax liens. That wasn't really anything we needed to raise money for, but we had, you know, we had investment experience, right? So I think it's a matter of gaining, you know, knowledge with gaining enough knowledge in the industry so you sound professional and you really know what you're doing, and having a good due diligence. If you're able to put a good deal together and the numbers work, and an investor can see that, even if you're new, if the numbers make sense and they're not forced or faked or made up, and they're confirmed by, you know, multiple parties, people are willing to lend money to you even if you haven't done any deals.
Exactly. Yeah, I would. I mean, and obviously, you as the business owner or doing acquisitions, you want to try to nail that number. So the more professional you can do it for yourself, the better. And as Jesse said, I think you'll always find money if you're able to find a good deal. But it is really important. I do know, the people who lend money to you, you want to have a good relationship with them, right? So you want to be really, if you can build strong rapport and, as Jesse said, showcase, kind of show them how you would be very transparent. Most lenders are going to want to see that info anyway, so they can confirm their position lending to you. So it's good to. I think you do want to, like Jesse said, have enough education, but you don't have to necessarily show a huge track record.
Right, and I think that's the thing. There's always pros and cons, right, to everything. Like, so the business credit cards that they're only gonna take you so far, right? So that's exactly where I am, and then so now I need to raise capital, but it might be a good way to start quickly, right? But on the other hand, right, if you know where so I hear you guys definitely. I mean, I definitely have to raise capital, and again, I'm learning from Jesse and Jeremy, but like. The one thing I will say about the business credit cards, if you have a certain credit score, you like the way that I'm kind of verbalizing it and articulating it is, you might already have money that you didn't know you had, right? That was the case for me, and so, but again, you have to, like with any money that you're taking, whether it's from an individual or you have to take care of that money. You're the custodian of it, right? And with the business credit card, it's the same thing. It's your PG. You're personally guaranteeing that. So you can get into trouble with these things. So that's the disclaimer, right? So you really want to be able to first know what you're doing, and then be able to take care of that money appropriately. But the best thing about the raising capital is it's outside of 0% business credit cards. It's cheaper than hard money significantly, and then again, you don't have to deal with all the headaches that I have to deal with. So, if anyone's interested in those business credit cards, again, I'm trying to get the guy into our room on Wednesday, so we can get a lot of people educated. But even now, if you were to hit me up and DM me, they'll do a consultation with you to see if you're qualified, because there are qualifications for it. It does cost something. I will tell you this. The one thing that I like about this company, we switched from the old one that we used to use that was cheaper. It was cheaper, but the problem with them is that they're not providing the balances that they used to provide, right? So when I quoted that 103, and then Leonard, that 103, by the way, took a year to get, or rather 9 months approximately to get. So meaning they did it in tranches. So they raised, like, I think on my first one I got 20 something, and then after a couple months they raised me again and then it was 60 something, and then I ended up in that third tranche at 100. But my point is that this new company, so you pay up front with the old company, and the new company, they call it success fee. It's a commission. They take it out after they give you the cards, right? So you're not actually even paying up front. Their commission or whatever is paid through the cards that they got you, right? So again, but before you do anything, get your education down, get the lingo down, because when you're ready to, whether it's private money or business credit, you're ready to go, right? And I want to reiterate something, because Eric was asking about JVing. One of the best ways to get moving quickly when you're new is to JV, right? I know a lot of times, and I almost would say that I like that a little bit even better than mentorship, right? Because you're getting practice, like you're in it. You're in it as opposed to being a learner, right? You're actually in it, and you're going to learn that much quicker. So that's the power of having some money behind you. It's like you don't have to do everything on your own. When you have some money, you can JV with someone who will then be willing. It's a value exchange, right, guys? I've been starting to call it value layer cake, and I do that, and I'm not new, right? So everybody that I talk to, everybody, whether they like quote unquote work for me or not. I try to get in the mindset that what is the value I provide to this person, right? And the more value that you can provide, well, the more that they're likely to pour into you, right? Or do a JV with you. So you just want to always, you know what I mean? So if you have education plus money, the JV with someone becomes that much easier. How about this? We've been talking, Nicholas and Tara, we're talking about wholesaling deals. What if you have a wholesale deal and instead of collecting the assignment fee, talk to one of your, like I'm just giving you a practical example, right? Talk to somebody on your buy list and say, hey, I really want to get into fix and flipping. You don't have, like, what if we do an arrangement where, I'll cut the assignment fee in half or even take no assignment fee, right? You take the deal, but then I want to learn everything about fixing and flipping, right? So there's so many ways, and I like that better because now you're in it, right? You're a partner as opposed to being a student.
That's something I'm doing on the commercial side. So we're looking at a 300 and something unit building down in Tennessee, and the people that we've identified the project, but the people that we're talking to are like, I'm interested in doing it, but I don't have a couple $1 million to do it. I know friends and other investors that I work with that have the capital. So instead of trying to sell it to them on a wholesale and make a 3% commission on a couple $1 million, I'd rather be part of the deal, even if it's a minor part of the deal. Say I'm only 5 or 10% of the actual entity buying it. At least I have ownership in the deal, and I'm able to learn from them and walk through step by step and see exactly how to take down these larger commercial investments. So as real estate investors, you got to constantly be learning and come up with creative ways. If you don't have the financial means to get involved in deals, come up with a creative way that you can get involved. Whether that's just bringing value to somebody, interning with people, joint venturing on deals, providing sweat equity, being a bird dog. I mean, there's a million ways to get involved that you don't need money to, as long as you're taking the time to educate yourself and you're willing to put the work in. Most of the time you're going to put the work in for free to start, but it's going to translate into something huge 2 to 3 years down the line.
So, Vishnu, as you were talking about, I just want to circle back to that question I had. I think this will probably tie in for everyone here, still kind of new to the business leveraging. The direction you're going is not the direction I went. Trial and error, kind of the way I went. What did you mean, or maybe are these people you're talking about for the professional side of the business?
I'm sorry. I'm not following the question. Sorry, buddy.
I apologize. No problem. So for me, I didn't use any professional business credit cards. I just kind of did my own thing. Home Depot, build credit, just keep building. What's the direction you were saying for the professional business?
Oh, I hear you. Yeah. So you went and got like a Home Depot card and you're okay. So there's a
I did the 1 or 2 tier, etc.
Say that again, Aaron?
I went with the 30K, the 1 tier, and then you get to the 2 tier, slowly build up your credit. I'm curious the way you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's why I think Merrill is so important, right? Is because so not all credit is equal, and the reason why I really talk about Merrill more than other, because literally right now I know there's a business credit room, right? And if not, there'll be one in half an hour. Now the problem with that is that there's a lot of misinformation. Okay, because so the thing that's great about Merrill is Merrill sits with you. Like maybe you guys are too young to remember this, but back in the day there used to be this game called telephone. They used to take cans and a wire and then basically, or you whisper to your friend and by then by then the information is all jacked up, right? So so the reason why I am such a huge advocate of Merrill is because he literally sits with them, and he's on phone calls with FICO, right? So FICO is the people. Okay, one of the things that Merrill teaches people is that your Credit Karma score that's not a real score. It's what he calls a FICO score. Right, the real score comes from FICO. It's the score that lenders use. Okay, so Merrill sits with those people, and the reason why that's so important is he knows what it takes to then get a really great credit profile. So it comes directly from the source, right? As opposed to playing a game of telephone. So that's one thing. Now, to answer your question, Eric, there's a difference between personal credit cards, right, and business credit cards. Okay, so personal, and it's very easy to know what's the difference. Your personal credit cards, right? They report to your personal credit report. Okay, your business credit is going to it does not report to your personal credit report. So it's a completely different. Those business credit cards should not be reporting to your personal credit. Now, the thing that's messed up is that a lot of banks, usually tier 3 and tier 4 banks, will call these business credit cards, and then they're reporting on your personal, right? Well, that's not by definition a business credit card.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Eric?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying, because they did pull my personal credit every tier so far. But one thing I do want to say is that anyone that is trying to leverage business is download Nav, because I believe they kind of report to that as quote unquote your business, and then also Duns and Bradstreet. That's something you should look into.
Yeah, every person's LLC, you need your EIN number, and you should have a Dun and Bradstreet number, because that's your business credit line. So that's all run through Nav. I know Nav has a free version, and then they have a paid version. I used the free version when we first started, and then I used the paid version. A lot of the lines, the corporate lines that we were getting were more of that like retail line, like Uline and stock ship and all these like random things that you'd never really use. What we're working on now is corporate lines of credit, which is different than corporate credit cards. That's another option, that you can look into. I should have more information on that here in a couple months. But what Vishnu's talking about is a great way to get started with your business credit, building that up so you can have hundreds of thousands of dollars available to take down deals, or if you need to use a hard money lender, you may be able to gap fund with the rest. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can use those corporate credit lines to really scale your business.
Yeah, so that's kind of essentially it, right? So what Jesse just laid out, I use and continue to use my business credit cards for everything, right? So what it does is then everything's reporting on my business credit card, and I try to leave my personal credit cards. I try, by the way, because I'm doing so many things. I try to leave them at all times below 10%, and really, you want to leave them, from what I'm understanding, because I'm a student of that more than anything. I'm always learning, right? But you want to leave those down to almost like 2 or 1%, because what happens is that. So now, so for example, like I was telling you guys, even when I'm going to Whole Foods, I'm going to put that on my business credit cards, right? So the utilization is so low on my personal credit that it's basically 28% on your personal credit, cards, right? You want to be below. As soon as you go above 28%, it's actually a drag on your credit score. Right, so the lower you go, once you go below that threshold of 28%, it starts to improve your credit score, right? And so what are you doing? They're always, like, any lender is always going to use something to leverage or to look at to underwrite you, right? So what you're doing is you're making your personal credit look good so that you can increase both. By the way, what ends up happening is you're increasing your fundability, right, of your personal and your business. Okay, does that make sense? So it's just a method to start. It's really kind of, I would almost say, that one of the best ways to get started and to start becoming very fundable, and hence Merrill's name for his room and his podcast, by the way, which is where I learned so much from for free, is called Get Fundable, right? That's the same thing as his name. The name of his room is also Get Fundable, right? So it's just, again, a really great way to start learning about those things. And to learn it the right way, because again, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and so you want to really just learn from the source. I mean, this became kind of it's supposed to be about the weeds, but hey, we talk about whatever, right, guys? Are we good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
For sure, man.
hey, you're bringing value, so.
Yeah, so if you guys want to hit me up if you're interested in the business credit cards, they'll at least do a consultation with you and see if you're qualified or not, right? But it really depends on what's going on in your personal credit report that will be based on how much they can fund, or even if they can fund. So everyone has different circumstances, right? So we don't want to sit here and talk about frankly, to be completely honest with you, just like I don't touch the plumbing in my flipping, I let the experts deal with that. So that you would have a consultation with them, they'll guide you from there, right? But yeah, so that I think that pretty much covers that.
Yeah, it's really legit. It's Funding Secrets and Killing Credit Myths, and that's from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Merrill Chandler, right? That's his room, and then Vishnu Singh. You can connect with Vishnu, but that guy has so much good information to talk about. And then what was cool is his assistants actually were in the room too after, they were all brand new to Clubhouse. So they just stuck around in the room, and then they, finally connected with them. And I got tons of value just talking with his assistants. So I think he's got a podcast too as well.
Yeah, it's Get Fundable is the name of the podcast. I highly recommend that for sure. I mean, just to start learning, like, the amount of details, I'm always learning about that stuff and always improving it. But so, yeah, the Get Fundable podcast is really, really good. Free resource,
And then what's cool too is Jesse has that, Raising Private Money manual, and its resources there. It's a pretty good manual, so it's a good way to start raising. Tara, what markets are you in, Eric? Where are you working at? And you said you're working with Jake Brooks.
Yeah, I'm actually in South Carolina. That's how I met Eric to do all of this. So I've been kind of out here now. I want to do the virtual. However, that is something that's going to be something I have to learn a lot more to do, just because I want to make sure that if I'm doing it virtually, I know the South Carolina market. I know it very well. So for me, it's kind of making sure that I have my roots here, and then I'm able to do it consistently and accurately in other markets. So.
And me, I'm in South Carolina as well, but I do virtually as well. So I do Texas market, but in the Texas market, I use HiveMind CRM, which is, it's an little CRM that I put my dialer in, and I use VAs. I mean, I do all kinds of different little things, mailers, etc. But I mean,
we use a software that's actually it's the exact same thing as HiveMind too. That's the same CRM that we actually use as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so I met Anthony, and that's how I met him, and I saw his CRM, and with the marketing background I have, I was like, this is a no-brainer to use, It's the first one I saw, so I was like, yeah, I loved it. So for anyone that's new, you definitely want to look into all the different ways to market, because you absolutely can do this wholesaling virtually. You can do fix and flips virtually. I mean, you can do everything virtually. Sometimes it's better to be in person, sometimes not. It's just your preference, I guess.
One of the things that we use, Eric, actually, to do multi-channel marketing, we've been working on it with this print company for like 3 years now, but it's actually called Print Genie. And what it does is it syncs up there's a couple things that we were trying to do. We were trying to bridge the gap between digital and print marketing. In some ways, just that being said, is we know that sending out direct mail is a good way to get people to call us if it's good quality message, kind of communication that we can actually get in front of homeowners. And then mixing that up with what we call online marketing too, which is text messaging and emails. So that's pretty legit. And with that info, you can also upload that into social media to market to them. But Print Genie is the tool that we use. When we get our list, when we create our marketing list, we import it into Print Genie, and that sets out pre-built campaigns of print, text message, and email. And it kind of goes out. It's on automatic, so it just goes out continuously. we have pre-built, and it's set up for both real estate investor. Cool. It's a tool. We just basically finished it for agents, and that works out really well. If you send out direct mail, because what's cool is with the technology that we have set up, it can print for on demand is what it's called, for super cheap. So generally speaking, you'd have to pay, a decent amount of money to do bulk mailing, or if you do a mailer campaign, you generally spend quite a bit of money to get it printed out wholesale price. So it's hard to do, 7 drops in a row of say 1,000 lists, right? But you can continuously just drip a couple of new leads that you prospect that morning into campaigns that are preset for Genie, and then next thing you know, for like a reasonable amount, like one-off, because sometimes in our list we only get 5 or 6 new properties that we're trying to market to that are in pre-foreclosure or something like that, right? We're going to prospect different properties differently, so it's kind of cool because you can just do one-off as they come into our system for new properties or prospects we want to market to, and it just drips out that automated marketing. But yeah, it's tied into direct mail, which is really pretty legit.
And what's that called?
It's called Print Genie. So we actually have, so if you just click in either mine or Jesse's Instagram, there's our link in bio there. And what you can do is look at the Print Genie is I think the second, I think it's the second resource, I believe.
Yeah, Jared, I could do a.
I didn't forget it. I think you get a free 7-day trial. We think that we're giving a free 7-day trial away. But
yeah, and I think for that, I'll tell you guys that I'm not a wholesaler, right? So Jeremy, one day he's like, "Listen, man, just come here and look at this," right? And literally 5 minutes, and I'm a terrible agent. I'm terrible with tech. And I'm just not good at it, right? And I'm like, oh God, he's going to show me things that I don't want to see right now. He showed me Print Genie, and then when you couple it with either a Property Radar or PropStream, even my dumbass can now figure it out, right? It's it's that easy, and it's that seamless, and it's super great. So I actually think Jeremy, Jesse, we on the next Get Crazy thing, we should do the live stream and just start rocking it out and showing people.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Yeah, we should. I mean, it's just it just makes it so stupid simple. It makes sense not to do. So when you're using if you're using a data tool, the cool thing about PropStream and Property Radar is that they do have off-market data. So that the people's if they file for divorce, that's something you can't see inside the MLS, for example. You can see everything in that one space. So it's we definitely check Zillow and Redfin, and we look at MLS if we have access to that market as best as we can too. We definitely check our systems, but until you have all of those set up, which can take a lot of time to learn them anyway, it's great just to use one consistent system or flow. That makes sense. So information off that class, but now that the PropStream where if you don't have access to MLS, it's good. But the off market data, meaning sometimes people have liens on property, or their property, which is just a property that's vacant, and I think we just got the probate data set up inside PropStream, which is just right right.
Jeremy, you're breaking up a little bit, bud.
Yeah, I thought that was me.
Really? Oh shit.
Yeah, you guys can if you're watching a live stream on getcrazyleads.com or on our Get Crazy Leads Facebook page, or I don't know what it does with Twitter. But if you're watching that, I can show you just a quick overview of Print Genie. But it's actually much easier on the mobile app. But it already has a bunch of pre-built campaigns that are made, and this is something that Jeremy and I consistently update. So when people sign up for Print Genie, using ours, they actually get the campaigns and templates that we've already built. We also build, consistently add to this and build custom ones along the way. And for agents and brokers, we've built out an 18-month campaign that they can use anytime anytime you meet somebody, say you're an agent or a broker, and anytime you meet somebody, you want to just follow up with that person. So you can drop them into the 18-month campaign, for a few dollars, and it'll follow up with them with a piece of mail and email and text messaging over the next 18 months, just to stay in touch with that person and consistently, bring whatever value you can, or just stay connected with that person so they know that you're, top of mind. But as far as like the investment side goes, the campaigns that are available, you can do 6 touches with handwritten yellow letters, postcards, a combination of everything, whether it's mailing or not mailing or texting and emailing, whatever you want to do. There's all the pre-built campaigns set up in there. So what we did in our account was make it so that everybody can use the stuff that we've tested and tried ourselves, and just made it easier for everybody to not have to try to come up with your own marketing material. It's already done for you, so it's just kind of a couple clicks, set it and forget it. It's a pretty easy tool, and it's made our marketing much easier, because we take the data that we scrub through PropStream or Property Radar and drop it directly into Printgenie, right into those campaigns. So it's kind of a seamless system. It takes a couple seconds to upload the list. Printgenie actually double checks the list for you. If a property address doesn't exist, or it was marked different by the post office, it won't upload that person, so you're not wasting money. And it's a simple couple clicks as soon as somebody responds to your campaign to either evaluate the deal for them or take them off your list or whatever it is. Instead of you continuously mailing or messaging that person, you just go in and couple clicks and remove them from the list. So it's a pretty easy system to use. And as far as investing out of state, this is what we use to kind of blanket different areas that we want to work in, and specifically target our campaigns towards whatever situation that person's in. So we have pre-foreclosure campaigns, we have high equity campaigns, senior owner campaigns, driving for dollars, foreclosures, distressed sellers. There's a whole bunch of different campaigns that we've set up there. So it's just it's the easy button, right? We're all looking for ways that we can save time, money, and energy, and still maximize, the hours in the day. So instead of manually trying to do this yourself, or following up with this person once a month, let the system do it for you. Drop them in a 6-month campaign and kind of set it and forget it. And that's what this tool is built for.
Yeah, the cool thing too is like customizable too, or customable. So you can change the text and stuff on the yellow written letter. Like you can read it and that it'll work for you. If you did want to change the verbiage on it for whatever reason, you can semi-change it and then save that as a different campaign. So you can build new campaigns. It's like a Canva with the text message and email in it. So it's just good for our return, like a response rate on marketing is always better when we run it in combination with other forms of communication. And then we try to call them as well too if we have to. You know what I mean? Or back before pandemic, you could door knock as well too.
Now, do you guys ever use RVMs?
Yeah, they just changed the FTC regulations, so PropStream has that pause. There are other systems that you can use. I think it's one of it's like voice. It's they may be paused right now too. I haven't actually checked because some regulations have changed, but it's I forget what it is off the top of my head. But you can just like a batch RV, like ringless voicemail drops. There is some other systems. I think it's voice drop or something like that. But anyway, ringless voicemails do work. It's just, the best on any marketing, really what you're trying to get done is you're just trying to get that person to respond to you. So the ringless voicemails that we always say to get the best response is, hey, this is Jeremy, give me a call back. And then I shoot them my phone number that I want them to call me back on, because I call that the blind approach. They don't really know what I'm messaging them about. And they don't know if, they really don't know what I'm trying, they don't know who I am yet. So when they call me back, then I can explain what's going on and kind of talk to them. if I try to sell them over a voicemail, like, hey, my name is Jeremy, I'm a real estate investor, I want to buy your house, they generally won't call you back.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep it broad. You want that person to get in touch with you regardless of if they want to sell their house or not. You just want them to call you back so you stop wasting time and money on marketing. Don't want to cut the conversation off quick, but I did want to ask if Rakita had a question. I know she's been sitting down there a while. If she's still with us, Rakita, do you have any questions that we could answer for you, or anything, any deals that you wanted us to run through here?
I had a question. I forgot probably what it was when I got back off of the phone. So let me just say hello to you, Jerome, and Vishnu. Thank you, Jesse. I had a question because I was listening to you talk about the JVs and things like that. And for somebody that's new, like myself, I'm in the clubhouse just to learn. I'm about to go sit for the California real estate exam, but I'm interested in possibly maybe working on deals with somebody, whether it's wholesaling or not. I've been looking at tax liens, and I think that was what my question was for you with a tax lien, Jesse. I heard you mention something with, I think you started off getting capital through tax liens. How did that process work for you? Was it easy? Was it difficult? I'm just, trying to learn this whole process. So if you could answer some questions like that. And then I think it was Jerome, or was that Vishnu? It might have been Vishnu where my question had to do with credit cards when he said business credit cards, because I am in other rooms and I'm listening and about business credit, personal credit, and sometimes some of the information seems kind of iffy from what I know, but I would like to hear more about those processes if you could, tell me about it. And then maybe I can tell you what I think I might be interested in.
Okay.
A little bit more.
Yeah, so to start out, I didn't raise money for the tax liens. That was just something that my family and I had started. When I was 16, I was sitting in a hotel room on a hockey trip, and I watched this infomercial for like 3 times in a row. It must have been going on the TV, and I kind of did a lot. I did a lot of research in it and convinced my parents to start an LLC because I wasn't old enough to do it. As a way for us to get involved in real estate without having to put too much capital in. So we were buying tax liens in Florida anywhere from like $300 to a couple $1,000 and just holding on to them. We hold on to them for 7 years. There's different ways you can actually redeem them. So you can push them through and try to get the deed after I believe it's a year, but the rules change all the time and we haven't done it in a while. So look it up state by state. But there's tax lien states like Florida, Arizona, New Jersey, Colorado. And then there's tax deed states like California, New York, Ohio, Virginia, I think is one where you're actually buying the deed. The tax liens accrued interest at 18%. So if we put, $1,000 in there, it was making 18% per year until someone went to push it out, and that person pushing it out would pay all of the back taxes and then eventually redeem it for the deed. We redeemed it for the deed on a few properties. We held a couple, we sold a couple. We're actually going to be building our container home on one of them. But that's not something we raised private money for. We raised private money when we moved into the fix and flip space and needed a larger amount of capital. So we needed a couple $1 million to continue to do multiple deals at once. So that's what we focused on doing. Is I spent 40, 50 hours a week raising private money and another 40, 50 hours a week trying to run the deals. So there was, it's a lot of time trying to build these relationships, and sometimes they take quite a few times. I know one of my original investors was like 18 different touches I think we had sent out over the course of 6 months, text messaging, email, ringless voicemail, and it's just finding a way that they wanted to connect and what platform they use. So the one guy specifically wanted to connect on Facebook Messenger, so I added them on social media and talked to them through Facebook Messenger because that's the way they want to communicate. So it wasn't necessarily raising money to do tax liens; it's just raising money to do different deals. And then Vish, I think you can answer the business credit card question.
Yeah. So, Rakita, can you say? I don't want to mispronounce your name. Can you say it in your?
It's Rakita, like Chiquita.
I love that. Okay, Rakita. So, as far as your business credit card, are you looking to get business credit cards, or you just want some information on it? What do you think? Where are you at?
More information, because I need to get my credit back into the 700s. I dropped it now and it's in the high 600s, but I need to get it back. And so I'm working on that. But I'm working with a client who I'm assisting him get his organization. Actually, I'm doing all the information for his organization. So he needs business credit. I need business credit. But when I turn into the world of real estate, I'm just realizing that this is something that I'm going to need. But when you mentioned business credit cards, that, like, I know Dun and Bradstreet, and then I've heard of NAB. I think I've heard of NAB a little bit, really not familiar with what that is. But when you said business credit cards, and instead of, I know that it was either you or Jerome, I'm not sure, but you'll tell me. When I heard you say that you had a process where you go and pay somebody to get you the right business credit cards, that to me made sense, because I'd rather work smarter instead of being harder. And please excuse my baby in the background, because I'm going to get you out right now so I can listen.
That's all good. No, I think, Vishnu knows a lot about the strategies just the different strategies that he's taken with his experience. I've heard, we talked a lot, and Vishnu's full of info. I do know Vishnu was just talking about a contact that he was sharing. I think that he mentioned it's Merrill Chandler, and he's got a room and a podcast called Get Fundable. He talks a lot about that, and then Jesse's familiar with what the last thing you just brought up, which is funding, paying somebody else for that credit.
Right. Yeah. So we actually do use, Jeremy. Thank you. Definitely Merrill Chandler's room on Monday, and then the Get Fundable podcast as far as education is concerned, right? And a lot, Rakita, a lot of the, to your point, right? Because I'm in those rooms, in those business credit cards rooms, and I know for a fact, and I'm not trying to rag on anyone. There's just a lack of information or misinformation or whatever it is, right? Someone probably taught them and they're just repeating it. It's fine. But the reality of the situation is Merrill knows what's up. And then the other name that I would say that knows what's up is Flame. That's it. Flame is Flame, and he knows what's up too. And I know that because he also met Merrill at the FICO Summit, right? So they're getting information direct. And there's another gentleman named Don. But to just get right to the point, yes, I've used two different companies in order to get business credit cards. The company we used to use, I don't really like naming names on Clubhouse because it could get me into trouble. So I can do that offline. But we recommend people don't use them. I actually used to do, when I first entered Clubhouse, I used to do rooms on business credit, and I was an affiliate with them because I had such a great experience. And the worst thing is, anyone that knows me, even in the slightest, knows that I only talk about things that I know, right? Because my name is very important to me, and there's no difference between my company name and my name. It is me, right? So I can no longer endorse them, because what was happening is that the clients weren't getting the balances and they weren't getting the customer experience. That the company just changed. They're either too big. I don't know, and I don't really care, right? But if I'm gonna be an affiliate, they need to do exactly what they said they're gonna do, and if they can't, then I boot them, and that's it. So this company is actually a company I wanted to use, even when I got my business credit cards initially. But the former company was cheaper. But again, if you're not performing, what does it matter that it's cheap, right? So yes, if you're interested in the business credit cards, you can definitely DM me, and I have an affiliate link, and you'll click the affiliate link, and it'll it's an application process, and basically what they do is you'll have a consultation with them, because they are going to have to look at your personal credit report, right? So sometimes even when we have a good personal credit score, your report might have some things in there that will either one of two things: it'll disqualify you, or you won't be able to get as much money as you're looking for. So that's not really what I do, right? I just pass it over to the consultants, and then they'll be able to direct you. So the consultation is free. That's free of charge. Doesn't cost anything. And then you take it kind of from there. And now if they're telling you things, right, that, hey, like Rakita, you were saying, hey, I need, you're in the high 600s. Now, this is one thing I will tell you. Even the people that I send you to, okay, and I need people, if you're interested in going with the people that I'm going to send you to, I would ask that you repair whatever you need to repair to get your number, your score up to about a 720, right? So they might tell you, hey, you're good at 680, but if you do that, right, you're just not going to get as much. You're not going to get as much money, right? So you really want to optimize. So at 720, I think is really the best number. You can get away with it at 710, depending on how badly you need the money. But I would tell you, get your credit repaired through a credit repair specialist, get to at least 720, and then go get the business credit cards, because that's where you're going to get the biggest amount of balances. Okay. I hope that helps.
That does. That's what I plan on working on. Well, that's what I'm working on presently, is repairing my credit and actually getting it back, because I know what I did to not to kind of lose where my credit was, but I wasn't really focused at the time. But now I'm more focused because I have moves that I need to make in the real estate market and within the business sector. So yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. And I was talking to you, and of course I pressed the wrong button and I was muted. But yeah. So if you need anything, like we even actually have, it sounds like you're already repairing it on your own, but if you need help, I have some really great people to help repair credit as well. And again, I tried my best to vet the people that there's a reason why I'm sitting with Jesse and Jeremy, right? Because we're aligned in I just consider them friends at this point. But if they didn't have the same moral and ethical compass, I wouldn't be in this room, right? So anyone that I push towards people, that is the core. That's the core. So at least people can hopefully, as long as I don't have a private investigator that goes and looks up everyone, but as much as I can, I try to vet people.
Well, that's one of the things that just to add to what Vishnu says, we don't try to push things that we don't use. So we use Print Genie, so we push Print Genie. We use PropStream, so we push PropStream. We use the lines of credit, so we push the programs that we use, because this is what we're actually, this is how we're actually operating our business. I'm kind of test dummying one right now to try to get larger access to a much broader spectrum of money right now. But it's something that I'm not going to start pushing people in, even though I could start getting referrals right away. It's just something I'm not going to push people in until I see the evidence. So, I went out there, I went out on a limb. We put about 25,000 into this to see if it works. I know it worked because I have a friend who, referred to a lender friend of mine who referred me into it, but I have to see it for myself before I'm going to push it into anyone else's hands. So that's those sort of things. We test this stuff, we use the things, and we're not just going to push things for the sake of making money. That's not really what we're here for. We're here to help people, grow their business and grow themselves and grow their net worth. So we want to example and show the tools that we're actually using and doing the things that we're actually doing.
Yeah, and I asked Jesse about that, the credit lines that Jesse is alluding to, and he said no. And the reason why he said no is because he's like, I got to go through it first, man. Right. So and I'm the same way. Right. So I'm the exact same way as he is. So so yeah, at least I can speak, what I mean? Everything is about integrity with me, Jeremy, and Jesse, 100%.
Yeah. And the other cool thing about that as well, too, is that when you share, I like being an open book about our systems and stuff like that as well too, because when you connect with other professionals that also use those same tools, then that when we're talking, if you're using looking at the same analysis or similar data, and something's I don't have access to it because that MLS. If that I'm looking at PropStream and I bring you a deal, or if you bring a deal to us, it's a really good way to know that, this person likely knows what they're doing, or we're probably seeing on the same page because we use that same system, or analyzer or something like that. So, it's using these systems is really good. And then when you start working with other buyers and stuff like that too, you generally want to be very accurate and show them your systems and analysis, because, eventually you might want to sell a property to these guys again, and you want them to make money so that way you can stay in business, So using the right systems is important. If some wholesaler is bringing a deal to me and it's, there's just pictures clipped from, the Craigslist ad or something, and I'm not seeing any quality comps, then it's like a homework assignment for me, and I might not even get back to that wholesaler. right? So it's, or, you know, it's just good to know that other people are using the similar systems that you are as a professional.
Okay, Jeremy, please forgive me for pronouncing your name incorrectly. I didn't see the Asante Gu, and I'm just like half holding my phone and listening.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, no, I go by both. I get it all the time, so it's all good. But thank you, guys. I answered to both, so no worries.
Okay, so I'm really good at research, and I think that's where I'm starting out, is because I've been researching different properties. I know a lot about a lot of the tax liens out in my area, and I'm in California, but I also look in Texas because I have property in Texas. I have no more property in California. So if I were to bring a deal, is what you're saying, to anybody that's a particular buyer, I need to make sure that I have all my numbers outlined, and so they can see everything instead of just I don't want to say piecemeal information, but it needs to be pretty analytical.
I think that depending on your relationship with them, you know, you can grow into being very transparent, just because, you know, depending on that working relationship you have with them, you don't want to show all your secrets and like give them like your deal analyzer and everything. Like, you don't want to show, like, create competition for yourself, if you will, right? But it is really good to, I think, put together some type of a templated package that showcases why it's a good deal for me to stop and look at. If I'm an investor looking to purchase, fix, and resell, I want to know what your analysis was, and then the better job that you can do to present that, the more seriously I'm going to actually look at that as being a potential deal, because I can see that, you know, you would be taking it professionally. So you don't, you know, I would try to show, of course, pictures of the inside. Try to at least provide a couple of good comps, so that way they can support your purchase price. I mean, definitely try to do a really good job with the repair estimate, because, you know, that's sometimes when I get a wholesale opportunity coming past my computer or something like that, I just see ARV 700, you know, rehab, you know, 150,000. You know, this is what the purchase price would be. Sometimes that $150,000 budget is really big, and it's just like, okay, what were you accounting for in this budget, right? Or sometimes it's way undervalued. It's like, you know, $30,000, and you're just looking at the pictures on the inside, like, this looks like over $30,000 just from the pictures. What the hell is this person seeing? You know, you really want to know. There's a lot of question marks just with other people's data. So you know, if you do have other wholesalers who you just kind of tap in with, to have them get on their mailing list, so you can start seeing what their templates look like, you know, you'll probably start recognizing that either they don't have one at all, or you would think, you know, the more professional I can analyze the property, the faster you can get somebody to make a decision on it and close quickly, right? So I would, you know, put it in some type of a template. Again, we use PropStream, so that that tool actually populates a report for you. So you can, you know, depending on the analysis that your strategy you're taking, you can just plug the numbers into a deal analyzer. We call it the Wizard Analyzer. And whether you're purchasing it to hold or purchasing it to fix and sell, you can pretty much plug your numbers in there, and it'll populate a report. Now, out of that, you can choose what you want to share or what you don't, depending. But yeah, I think, you know, after you don't, now there's a bunch of different ways to wholesale properties, but what I think is better to do is find 6 really good buyers in that area that you work in, that you know can perform, and try to build a good relationship with them to know what kind of deal are you looking for, right? How do you guys operate? So, you know, I just walked with a team in my own county where I worked for years. I went to like 6 or 7 of their properties and tried to get to know their team well enough to identify how they do their deals here in San Diego. You know, they were a significantly bigger company than me. They have a construction company, you know, tied in with them. So very good group of people that I can trust, that's going to buy a property if I do a good job showcasing. So I might be very much more transparent with them, because I have a better working relationship with them now. But with you know, you do want to show the deal, but you don't want to. You can kind of let them know what your rehab budget is and give a little bit of an explanation for that. You know, ideally, you would want to be sending this person or people that you're wholesaling the property to. You would probably want to. It's kind of the same thing when you're putting offers in. Generally speaking, when you put an offer in, you kind of want to call the agent right away and let them know, hey, just put my offer in. When are you looking at accepting offers? Kind of stay on top of that guy. Then same thing with, you know, you just following up. Same thing with when you're putting a wholesale property on the market. You know, you want to email it to people, but you want to jump on the phone and try to talk to them and explain to them, you know, what your analysis is saying. So I would do both. You know, show them as much data as you think is necessary, and then jump on the phone.
All right, thank you. May I ask one other question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, now in the hold on, baby, I'm on the phone. In the wholesale industry or wholesale market, do you find people more amenable to raw land? And when I say raw land, I mean raw land, nothing on it, no utilities, no nothing.
I would for that question, I would contact Haley Howard. She does land wholesaling. That's like I'm pretty sure that's the bread and butter of her business. It's definitely a place where people are buying. Here's the one thing about land is they're not making anymore, right? So once you own it, it's yours, and you know that's going to be yours forever. As long as you keep paying the taxes and you structure the things right. So there's I think land wholesaling is definitely it's a little less risky as far as, you know, liability goes, because you're not worried about a home, you're not worried about toilets leaking and things like that. It's certainly a good option. There's definitely, you know, a place for it, and there's definitely investors that just want to hold land. I was in PropStream the other day going through one of the homes that we were targeting, and they had like 1,600 parcels of vacant land throughout the country. That, you know, you can use data like that. If you're using a data tool, you can use that sort of data and identify potential buyers of land just by seeing who owns, you know, how many parcels in the certain area that you're picking it up. But I think Haley Howard would be probably the best source for that. And if you want to send me a DM, I can send you her profile.
Also, there's another gentleman named Land Mogul on Clubhouse. Land and then space Mogul.
Okay, thank you. I will search both of them out. I believe I joined a room yesterday with Haley, so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it or anyone else's thoughts. So, and then Land Mogul, I'll look for. Thank you.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up,
guys?
just want
to hop in and support you guys.
Thanks, homie. Appreciate you.
Thank you. We were kind of talking a little bit about just before you got in. We were talking about kind of credit repair and lending. There was a girl in here who was kind of curious about some of those questions. So we had some good info about Chandler Merrill's room and the Get Fundable combo and his podcast. And then we were just kind of talking about lead gen and some system stuff right now a little bit too. So we've been anything real estate today. Nice, very nice. I was gonna say, does on Monday, Vishnu? When is this podcast at the same time, or does he do his podcast differently than Clubhouse?
Yeah, I mean, his podcast is recorded, so you can always go back, you know. But I thought I was a member. Apparently, I am maybe not. Okay, that's weird. Oh, there it is. It's tomorrow at. Oh God, we gotta help
4 p.m. Pacific
man. Oh, where do you see that?
I put it on my actual calendar when I was listening to him, because I just thought it was. That's what I thought he said, because he said it.
It's 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Eastern. Oh, right. So 4 p.m. Right, Mountain.
Because they're based out of Utah. Yeah, they're based out of Utah, but.
Yes, sir. So That's what's up on this beautiful, well, not so beautiful Sunday afternoon here.
Oh, it's beautiful at least in Milwaukee. I think it is back east as well. But hey, are y'all doing virtual wholesaling?
Yeah, we were really shooting hard. We were really pushing this year to do more buy, fix, and sell properties in San Diego. And then of course it was kind of strange with the pandemic and election. So there was a little slow start, but Jesse, I know, does predominantly is pretty much always done virtual wholesaling, and then he even does his projects virtually. I came from more of a massive background of actually doing buy, fix, and sell, and then we would periodically wholesale. And then I kind of got into wholesaling, passive income properties and things of that sort. So when I started learning more about virtual, opened up a range of opportunities.
Do you, Michael? Michael, do you source your deals through your own leads?
Yeah. So in Milwaukee here, I don't do any. I don't know if I told you this or not. I used to be a home investor. We buy ugly houses.
Oh, cool.
So I get it, all this stuff. But like now, what I do is in Milwaukee. Sorry, I just basically a lot of my stuff comes from word of mouth. And then in St. Louis, we're just working with wholesalers. But we're about to start. We started doing virtual purchasing. So like I was just curious. I know for a while I was curious about like once we had everything set up, like do we still like we're doing over the desktop evaluation on a property. Oh, so let me be clear. Sorry. So are you giving a desktop evaluation prior to seeing it, or are you always seeing the house before you're given the offer price?
For me or for those?
Yeah,
for me,
well, yeah,
like,
just in general, whoever knows. We kind of it seemed like a lot of people do it different ways, but I wanted to.
No, for sure. So, yeah, man. My process is I just repeat depending on. It just kind of depends. Like Chicago and Atlanta, in the exact point of what you're talking about in the process is a little bit different, right? So, like in Chicago, well, let me say within Atlanta, what I do is I try to like because Atlanta's so hot, sometimes I have to put an offer in. Right, and then what I'll do is I'll put the offer in, and then I'll send the contractor out. Right, well and just say, hey, I need a couple of days due diligence or whatever it is. Right, and then based on what the contractor says, I'll grind that price down. Right, but
okay.
in Chicago, yeah, but not always. Like so, for example, that property that actually all of us were looking at the other day. Right, that property. It sounded like I had time, so I just had the contractor go out, and I didn't even put an offer in. But normally, I put an offer in, and it also and I think we all get this right. Depending on what that contractor says, that's my leverage if I have to pull the price down, right? Based on the condition of the property, you know what I mean. So I just use it as armament to drop the price lower on my offer. So it just really depends. In Chicago. Actually, Chicago's so hot too. So I don't know why I said that. It's not any different. I'll actually put the offer in and then send the contract. And you know how it is, man. Our contractors are so busy. I can't just expect them to just jump whenever I throw an offer in, right? So it takes them a day or two or three or whatever it is. So I generally put the offer in first, and then based on what they say, I readjust my price on that offer. That's what I do, but. But man, and I'll let Jeremy and or Jesse to say more. But I have yet to buy a wholesale deal, so I'm not really the best person to ask.
Yeah. We generally just put
You mean purchase one like direct from seller, like through lead generation or whatever?
No, from like a wholesaler.
Yeah, I've never bought it. I don't wholesale myself, so I don't produce lead gen, and I've never been able. I've never bought. I've put in offers and I've lost EMDs, right? But I've never actually purchased a pure wholesale deal.
Nice. No, in St. Louis, we're at like 4 houses right now. I think this month we're probably trying to pick up another 2, and then 2 of those were through wholesalers, and the other 2 were through realtors. So all just networking with just with realtors, and we had it was one of the first houses we were supposed to buy, but it was like our first house. That house just got on the market, and they got some. Whoa! I think it's just all the above, but in St. Louis we're supposed to start. We're going after probate.
Hey, Mike, you're breaking up a little bit, brother. You're in and out a little bit.
Boots on the ground people.
Well, you know what, Jesse, aren't you home investors? This is me and Jeremy have joked about it with it. Isn't that the same group that you guys? It's Scientology, man. It's Scientology real estate.
Yeah,
you guys are trying to recruit me. I see what's happening.
Home investors is what home investors was like. Basically, like buying into a franchise is I kind of understood it, which was you would pay in, they would do the marketing, we buy the houses, and then you buy like a market or like couple zip codes. I think that you get, there's only so many home investors I believe that are like in an area, right? With Fortune
Builders,
it's
Fortune. Oh, I get confused. Okay, my bad.
Fortune Builders was a real estate education company. It wasn't so much as buying into a franchise, but they did have a lot of coaching and hand holding, and they teach about a range of different strategies that you can invest in. And then it's a good, they do seminars and stuff like that. So that's a good place to just connect with, network with other investors. So I kind of saw it as more of a network and education and some hand holding versus, and Mr. Duplex might be able to speak more for home investors, but I think that's more like a franchise kind of model, I think.
Yeah, as far as Fortune,
Deals you do go to home investors, like the deals you market and find on your own, I think you have to pay the home investors also.
Yeah, so
like say something.
So I never get wealth builders, but they give you is there some training when you do that, like a week's course, and then it's like an information dump, but you get the network?
There's like a 1-day seminar to loop you into the 3-day like weekend seminar to loop you into the actual program. But there's like 50,000 people in it. So like a lot of the times, I post my deals. There's like private Facebook groups and other places. I actually post deals on there. So if my lenders are tied up, like if I have a couple million wrapped up in other deals and there's a good one that comes across my plate, like I don't want to pass up, I'll post it in there. And a lot of the times, other Fortune Builders members have, they may be investors themselves or have other lenders available. So I've done it to where one person referred me a lender and I just paid them like 2 points as like a referral fee. Another time I did a joint venture with a guy who used his private lender's money. His private lender was at 8%. So we just did a joint venture together and then split the profit. It's just really access to a network of like-minded individuals who all have the exact same training, so we all evaluate the deals similarly, and it's just easy for us to work with each other. That's way different than like the home investors model.
I actually worked for Fortune Builders and got hired to do acquisitions for the guys who actually were originally on like Flip This House way back in the day, and that their brothers and Sam Merrill, they started this education company. And then I actually I worked for them, and it was weird because when I moved to California to kind of work for this company and do real estate deals with them, but I really didn't know that much about the company. And when I went to go apply for some other places at the same time, I was kind of evaluating where I wanted to work. There were some guys that were like, "Wait, dude, are you sure you're not like paying to go into Fortune Builders, or are you like working for them?" And I was kind of like, dude, am I so deep down this funnel that I don't know that I'm actually going to work for them, or am I going to, is this like a scam company? So it was weird. And then when I started working for them, I saw how like cool it was. It was a really good community. It grew like over 50% when I, before I started with them, but the community of people that you just get to network with, and then, some of those people like progress really fast. Like it's just a group of bunch of business owners, and then you can tap into so many different people. But yeah, if you find out somebody goes to Fortune Builders, you kind of know that they pay for some education to some degree.
Well, I know it's a couple. The brand is Captain Save a Home. They came out. Yeah, they made $100,000 their first year.
Dude, I used to fucking review that guy's deals. Like, there was a system I built for him, and it would check it would basically try to help their reputation. We would verify that students that went through the program did actually, in fact, make this much money, because, we wouldn't want to be lying as a company and then get, just like audited. I think. Yeah, so we would have to audit it, and that I always remember seeing that dude come through with his business name, and I was like, bro, this is the funniest fucking dude.
They're crushing it, like
he's crushing it, dude. I'm like, this guy's amazing.
So the real quick, they're like the wife. Right now they're married. They were boyfriend and girlfriend when they first started, and she came from Rebecca. She came from a manufacturing background. Just one of those stores, completely new to real estate. Manufacturing background, so systems, right? Systems.
That's exactly that was the main thing that I learned. And I actually worked for Dan, so the guy who pretty much founded Fortune Builders. He's very big into systems. He was a pro football player. Pretty smart guy, went to Yale and shit like that. But he read this book called E-Myth, and he really built his company around that book, and then actually even wrote a real estate version with the original author, Michael Gerber. It's called E-Myth, and that really teaches you a lot about systemizing your business. And then, before I actually started working for Fortune Builders, they told me, hey, read this book, because, this is kind of what our company is founded. We founded on running systems like this. And it was really cool because I got to see how these, I'm not even joking, dude. There would be some of these people that would come into this program, and I'm like, how in the world did this person even generate enough income to sign up for this? You know what I mean? Like, I would literally be like meeting these people at the boot camps, as they call it. They would come in and follow you around for like 3 days, and I would meet these people, and I'm like, dude, these, it's mostly small families and stuff that would start, or couples, or people who, like dentists and teachers that would be married and stuff, but they wanted some real estate experience. Sometimes these people these people can't even tie their own shoes, but so they would follow these systems, and actually they would just, learning and actually doing what they were told with some of the systems that were in place. They really were successful at it, and sometimes more so because they were just so focusing on the system. And the system eventually allowed them to not, to better their lifestyle a lot more than what they were.
So from what you told me is they spent $1,000 on marketing and made $100,000.
Probably, it's possible.
Right.
It's possible.
But it was like they were what I was, but they were like they're married now, but once again they were dating. No kids. They used to just, like, ground game was sick. Their ground game was sick.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. It's really inspiring to see some of the people that, have and Fortune Builders really is I think a good to tap in for the community of people. And they do have a lot of mindset stuff, which is, to be honest, it would kind of bore me a little bit, but I realized how valuable that was for so many people. When you're obviously waking up, you're having to tell yourself what to do every day. It's good to have a little bit of motivation. And it also seemed to attract a lot of very competitive people who are just looking to better their business. And then, a lot of the people that we connect with in there would be like, they would be authors. They would have other side businesses. Like, everybody kind of had other stuff going on, which was pretty cool too.
The home investor thing was, I knew somebody that was in it, and they were like crushing it. Like, basically, it's like with wholesaling. I believe if you wholesale, you need to buy your own. Like you need to keep the deals that you're coming across, right? Like you need to build a renter. If you're wholesaling, it's for rental portfolio. So, so when we got into it, we I had a partner, really good friend of mine. We're still tight, and we're like, okay, we're going to do it, and we're going to do the wholesaling. So we didn't like the business model wasn't to buy rentals. So a lot of the deals we couldn't quote unquote purchase because we couldn't get them deep enough to make any money. But if like they kind of made sense for rentals, or you come across like cheap, just inner city stuff that like. So long story short is that when I got out, and I got out because like I'm a like my personality type is a coach. So just naturally, my personality type, and we didn't really build it up to like had a team in place to go out and do the calls and to go do the visits. So it just wasn't my cup of tea. Like I couldn't, like I'm not the best person to go in the house and tell a seller that their house is not worth that much. But it's natural. It's easier and it's more natural for me to be like, hey, with your partner, or like this is what you need to do to get the max amount of value. Like all things being equal. Not to say that we didn't close deals, but it just didn't sit right with me. So I got out. So when I got out, he kept it going. I think like the next year he bought like 20 rentals. Just all like cheap stuff because now, he can, we didn't have to worry how we're going to break down the rent, how we're going to break down this. So he just kept a lot of stuff, but it works. We ended up the max before I left. I think we were at like $9,000 a month that we were spending on marketing. I think, yeah, we're doing like $9,000, just us as a group. I think we're pushing out like 100,000 a month on marketing with the brand. And you just tap in. You're just buying into the system of just like, hey, I got some money, and then you get to you get that back end help, and you close some deals. But I think in general, it's just really for building a rental portfolio.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get into it just to make the quick cash and don't necessarily think long term. They see that they can make 20 grand and they're like, $50,000-$60,000 in debt, so they just want to, flip it and get quick cash. They're not really thinking of the long game, but realistically, it's better to wholesale and get that money, like you were saying, and then just build your renter portfolio up so that you're not consistently trying to do this for the rest of your life. You can actually be a passive investor. I think it's a huge part that a lot of people miss because they get so blinded by how much money you can make on a wholesale deal.
Yeah, wholesale, and then depending on what markets you're in too, like wholesaling, depending if you're trying to do it to an end buyer or a buy, fix, and sell person. Just there's sometimes it's hard to structure all the way. So that's why I feel like when you start wholesaling, that you start realizing how you can do other types of deals too. And there's some ways people rehab properties, or for the reasons too. It's just so much different. But so you're saying that the wholesaling that you were trying, somebody who's trying to purchase more from buy and hold investor wasn't as easy. Is that what you were saying, Mr. D-Bucks?
Yeah, no, I guess I was saying like when I was doing it, it wasn't my cup of tea to do constantly, right? So like that, the way that we have it set up in St. Louis now, like it's got to be like if we could get it going, and we should, it's gonna be crazy. But like in general, there's but like I was the one that was going to the houses. I was the one that was doing this, and I'm more of a natural of like doing the opposite, right? Trying to figure out how to help the person. So it just wasn't for me.
Yeah,
like on the daily day grind.
Totally. No, actually, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying too. That's why, like, some of the guys I started learning the virtual wholesaling stuff with, I realized like how they did use a lot of, and now it could be kind of like you can think of it kind of like a clubhouse, but
certain different websites that they would it would be like My House Deals is one of them. So they would promote their properties on My House Deals. Like they would be spending a decent amount of marketing to market the wholesale deal. You know, I'm like, okay, there's just more marketing in a way, but there's different groups. There was different groups that you would eventually end up connecting with, but it was definitely a different kind of grind. I totally get that.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I think even you're only selling your wholesale deals to like 5 people. Like you have a list of like 300. You're only selling it to like 5 or 7. Like it's just the same every day. You're not. You really shouldn't be looking for buyers, right?
Right. Yeah. Totally, 100%. And that's the thing is like I know it's good to start with like, of course, like you're saying, go grab as many people as you can that say they're going to buy houses, but like you want to definitely know who you're wholesaling to that's going to perform. Where it's like you're just shooting yourself in the foot, and it's a good way to piss agents and stuff off if it's listed or something like that, you know, or homeowners. And yeah, like generally speaking, from my experience, we would have, you know, the 5 people and we'd be hitting up about the deal. They knew it was a deal. It wasn't like we had to be selling it. But yeah, it was interesting during the virtual stuff. It was a lot of paying to market on some of these, you know, email blast these people, and a little bit more like a fishing job kind of.
Yeah, you know, that I was on that. I've been on that. Every now and then I'll check in on that. Or bother me one more email from that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
So Connected, I think I got a profile on Connected Investors.
I haven't done a single deal on that, and I've been on it. Yeah, I've been on that for like 10 years. My parents had signed up for it, and like it's too clunky. You know, I would just rather go on. It's so much easier to just go on like Facebook or LinkedIn and connect to people, or use the, you know, like you can use the tool right within PropStream to find cash buyers around that property. And if you're working a specific market, there, you know, you'll see who's buying 20 to 30 properties a year. That's the person you just want to wholesale to.
What I will tell you though about some of those sites, like if you actually sign up and become a member, I know because I've studied them a lot. If you go to those sites and you actually do pay, like some of the wholesale deals where people pay to show, it's like, oh, you know, this is a deal. This person's they're spending money on marketing it right now. You know, so it's generally a deal for someone. But they don't showcase those properties to everybody. You know, you have to sign up. You have to be, you know, looking for the properties in a specific area. Let them know. So there's a little bit of vetting out.
Too much work, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Jeremy always trying to work hard. I'm like, you know, like when anytime I go on, like, yeah, that Connected Investors, I don't know one person literally in the network, like between that has been like, oh, that Connected Investors, it's been such a great thing for my business.
Yeah. No, LinkedIn's been the best for me, and then I feel like Clubhouse is great too. You know, with just like talking with people. I mean, if you're trying to hone in on a certain area and connect with them, you know, for real estate, a lot of the connections have been lenders, and then a lot of people who are, you know, buying and selling portfolios and things that are, and of course there's different stuff that pops up that for different businesses, you know, you'll end up connecting with. But
well, this is what, like, I think, like, just right here, like, you know, like Mr. Duplex, when he reached out to me, right, and I don't know what I was thinking. He basically said what I say to other people, but I was just off that day, and he was just like, you know, we could speak, you know, like how we talk. It's like at a certain level, it's just like, we don't, you know, we know there's a way, there's a synergy. It's just like, just get the deal and we'll figure out all that shit out later, right? You know what I mean? And it's like the same thing with, so I think like Mr. Duplex was saying the other day, or Michael was saying the other day, is just like, we should just be doing, like, there was more people on the stage, but I think we should just be doing deals with each other. You know what I mean? It's just like, and that's it, honestly, or with more people. But it's like, I don't feel like, honestly, with Clubhouse, I don't feel like I have to go outside of Clubhouse to go search for what I need. It's all right here, you know?
Yeah, I agree. But y'all getting the deal, so I'm really trying to ride y'all way. So I'm trying to hop on y'all surfboard.
Well, man, like it's like I said, man. It's like for Michael, like if you need something in Atlanta, I mean, you want to do something in Atlanta, it's like I basically am going to turn that up. Now I'm going to turn it back on. I was looking for money and I think I have my list now, and I have my team. Kind of, I guess 1 more week to kind of get our investor package together, and then we're ready to start looking. Like basically, I put off looking at deals. Except that was the first deal. Honestly, the first deal that we were looking at yesterday was the first deal I've looked at in a while in Atlanta, just because we needed the capital. I can say this to you guys, I would say it if there was 100 people in the room. But I just got nailed with. I think in the last 3 weeks, it's roughly 30K of overages, right? So it's like
In St. Louis, we're running like 20% over on every project. And I'm like, our boots on the ground person. I'm like, at some point, every project, that number should be decreasing, though, right? It should be like, this is the conversation we had with her. So, but it's just the nature of the business, regardless of material. Like material prices, just overages is just part of the risk that you take as a flipper.
And the best way to, I was just gonna say the best way to recoup that is if you find a way to keep that property and maybe turn it into a short-term rental, so you can capture some of that depreciation over the next couple of years and then wind up selling it after that. That's one of those strategies that we were looking at, because we had a pretty significant overage on a couple properties, just because we had to repay a new contractor to do some work, and that kind of changed our investment strategy, because our rehab budget almost doubled on one of the properties. And, now if we can run it as a short-term rental, we can actually recapture that money, get the depreciation, and then write off those expenses with that cost segregation. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it to try to recoup that. And one of the ways that we're looking at is turning our own flips into our own Airbnbs, and then just unloading those later down the line, maybe in a portfolio.
No, it's awesome too, because if you hold on, obviously, right? If you hold on to for 1 year, then you don't have to. At least 1 year, right? Then you don't have to even worry about that short-term cap, and then you're just going right into long-term. But the problem, I'm just saying, man, I'm being open with you guys. The problem for me is I'm traditional fix and flipper, right? So until things sell, I'm broken. I just got to get out of this loop, right? It's just I have cash, and then I go into the loop again, and then I'm broke again. And you know what I mean? And I'm tired of it. So it's just raising capital for me to escape that loop permanently. Forever, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get in the cash flow.
Yeah, I do. So what I do is, but see, that's what I'm saying. So right now, I'm working on 8 projects. Probably only 3 are 100% mine. You get what I'm saying? So I'm spreading out my cash flow by partnering up with other people, because it's less cash. So if it's if one of you guys, all things being equal, if one of you guys came to me and was like, hey, give me 50 grand, let's partner up on a $50,000 project, I'd be like, nah, I can't do it right now. But if you're trying to go 50-50 or whatever the case may be, but it feels like, okay, maybe I could do 30 or 25, right? So but now you could do, but if you don't have those partners or those relationships to do those deals with, that cash is just sitting there until you have enough cash, or whatever you're doing. So one of the things I learned is that I could take that cash and partner up on a smaller deal. Now that cash is basically working. It's kind of Mr. Wonderful. You're sending out your dollars, and they're going to get more dollars.
Your soldiers, your dollar soldiers. I hear you.
Right. Yeah. So that's Tom on here, he's from Wisconsin too. That's basically what I did with him. So it's it's always, so it helps, because now you have you got more projects. You got more projects completing, per month than if you're just working on a handful of projects or whatever.
Yeah, we've actually done some things. We've had people directly lend just to our LLC, not necessarily on a deal. Say they had $15,000 or $20,000, and we're putting it on on a balloon payment, like a 1, 3, 5 year balloon payment, and we're just using that money over and over again for transactional funding or whatever we need to do to float things in between flips, and that seems to have that's alleviated a lot of like the cash flow issues that happen, when you're purely buy, fix, and sell. So a lot of those people aren't able to get involved in a deal, and you can't really put them in a lien position on a property. But if you build a relationship with them long enough, $15, $20, $30, $40,000, it goes a long way when you can, use it, as you can use it, as transactional funding or whatever you need to do in the meantime, and then pay them back, after you have that bigger lump of cash at the end.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Nah, man, no, I love these. Yeah, that's a lot of great stuff there. But yeah, we should just stop messing around and just get some deals in and get moving. Is really the long and short of it. Stop fucking around, guys.
Do y'all have self-direct IRAs?
No.
Nope. Not yet. I want to set up my infinite banking.
Y'all slacking on the self-directs, man.
I cashed out my 401k when I left my 9 to 5 a few years ago, and I just bought rental properties with it. And now I'm in the process of flipping and dumping those to try to build up a bigger nest egg so I can get into the commercial space.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do the self-directed IRA. Doesn't seem like it's enough leverage for me. I want to do what Curtis. I want to do the infinite banking, Mike.
Nah, man, I'm telling you, we're talking. So like this is the other thing where it's one of those things that I knew, but just took a while for me to just actually execute on. Man, I'm telling you. So like I'm at so I started 3 years ago, maxed out my self-direct, $6K. I think it was 55 maybe the first year when I did it, but it's $6K now. So what's that? That's 18 grand with the investments. I think I'm at like 45,000 in the account. And like,
what did they put it in?
But when can you access it?
Whoa, slow down, y'all. So it's self-direct. So I decide what I want to put it in.
Okay, so it wasn't tied to like some ETF or something like that. I got you.
Yeah, no, correct. So I decide what I put it in, and then Jess, what'd you say?
I was going to say, when can you actually access that capital if you want to use? Say I don't want to use it for an investment. Is it the same as like I have to be 59 or 65 or whatever it is to pull that money out?
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't even know.
Yeah, because I'm 30, so I don't want to have to wait 30 more years to pull my money. I know it's there to save.
But the point is that money is tax free. So I give you money out of my IRA. We split it 50-50. You pay taxes on yours. I pay.
Yeah. Most of my investors, actually, like private lending lenders, they're the ones who use money. Yeah, they lend out of their IRA, but they're also in their mid 50s or early 60s, like they're able to access that money soon. I just my fear with the self-directed IRA, I think. I understand the tax benefits of it, but if I want to invest in something that's not approved by that self-directed IRA, I don't want to have like 150 grand sitting there that I can't use. If I want my money out, I want to be able to use it.
So what I can tell you is ways around it, but there's technically nothing that's off limits. Like, so you can even do rentals.
Yeah, you just can't personally profit. So like I can't. Yeah, you just can't. It just has to go back into the IRA. So I'd rather, at this point in my life, I'd rather take that money and personally profit because I'm not paying taxes anyway because of how everything's structured. I'd rather do it now, and then maybe later down the line, say when I'm 35 or 40, and I got a bigger nest egg. That I can set that aside and still lend from it, but I know I don't need that money because if I want to put it in some crazy investment that has like a 90% upside, and it's high risk, it's probably not going to get approved, right? From that IRA.
No, you don't. No.
Because you have checkbook control, but you can still only. I wouldn't be able to get that 90% return personally. I'd have to leave it in that IRA account.
No, what I'm telling you is that there's ways around it.
Oh, okay. So let me hold on. Let me stop the live stream because this is a personal, kind of a personal thing here. Let me stop. We were live streaming on our website here, so let me shut this down.